Hey, what's up? We're live.
Hey.
It's a good time.
Bada bing.
Okay. Bada bing, bada boom.
Uh, Hey guys, welcome to the Stream Showdish pre-show. Uh, So this is the little pre-show we do before officially starting at 4. If y'all have any questions to ask, we got answers.
Absolutely. So feel free and hit us up before we start at 4 p.m.
Hmm.
Uh, hello, Philip. Hello, Mark. Hello, Media Fanatic. Hello, M. Hello, Blythe. Hello, Taisha.
Have you played Fall
Hello, Anne.
Guys?
See that it's funny. Funny you ask that because I literally just said mentioned that game to Pi yesterday. I haven't played it yet, but it's free on PlayStation Plus. So I was like, I'm gonna download it and check it out, see what all the hype is. So yeah, I downloaded it, but I haven't played it
But
yet.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know Nintendo did just upload a video, but it has Sonic in it, so you can miss out on it for a little bit. Um, Infinity Train thoughts? Ask again next week.
Yeah. Hold that thought.
uh, I'm louder than Shadow.
Oh, I can turn him down a little bit then. All right. Hopefully that fixed
You
it.
have been noticed, Iggy Koopaling. Let's see.
All right. The stream might go. Okay. So we're back. Sorry about that, guys. I just had to make a really quick adjustment to OBS, but we're back now.
Hmm.
So
Shadow,
no
what is your
worries.
favorite female character in SpongeBob?
Um, what was the name of that one random squid
Squidina.
character from that Goons on the
Squidina.
Moon episode? Yeah, that one random character.
Sure.
That's my answer.
Tim Whitfield, thanks for the super chat. Have you ever seen Total Recall, the 1990 film?
Yep. Yeah, it's a
Is
good
it
movie.
better or
It's fun.
worse than Total Recall?
Um, I don't know. I mean, Total Recall is a very, very different take on the concept. Um, I don't know. I like both.
I'm,
I don't know if I could
I've
compare
never
them.
seen the original, or I've never seen Total Recall. Period. What's Shadow's real name? It's Jared.
No, no, don't. No, please don't curse me with that. Don't tell them lies. Ugh. My real name is Benedict. Eggs Benedict the third. I don't know.
Um, what are your thoughts on Bye Bye Beavers?
Uh, what's that
It's
again?
the finale to the Angry Beavers that like never happened because
Oh,
cartoons aren't allowed to reference
right.
themselves or whatever. I don't know if I even believe all the stories about that episode. But you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember reading up on that like a few years ago,
Yeah.
I guess. But the only connection I have to Angry Beavers at all is it's like the first cartoon I remember seeing on any of like Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network or
Hmm.
Disney. But other than that, I have like no connection to that show. So I don't know. I don't have any thoughts on that.
Okay. Oh, here you go, Shadow. How do y'all feel about people who make things and say you can't like it if you're not mature / grown up? Snyder saying his movies are
Oh, I
for
know what
grown ups
that's.
hit me the wrong way.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's ridiculous. And the irony of it is that's like the most immature mindset you can have. Yeah, I tweeted about that yesterday. I don't know. Like it's just dumb. People can like what they want. It doesn't matter what age you are.
But can
So,
people dislike what they want?
yeah. Like everyone's allowed like okay, I understand the logic in thinking if a 45-year-old dude's like I hate this show for 3-year-old children. It's like okay, yes, obviously the 45-year-old dude isn't in that demographic. He's still allowed to not like it. Okay? Like just let it go, people. It's not the end of the world if somebody doesn't like something.
Mm. Yeah, that's not the best of arguments. I also don't really understand why people like Snyder who have tons of money and influence and power and have managed to make their creative visions a reality. Like, why would you bother listening to like every idiot on Twitter? Like, truth be
Yeah.
told, I mean, I'm not like, it's good, it's great when creators actually listen to criticism or want to engage with their fan base, but if the way you're going to engage is just by like calling them dumb and dismissing them or saying, don't watch it or you're not old enough to watch it or whatever kind of nonsense, it's like, just don't say anything, really. Like, just sit in your pile of money, right? And like, be happy. I mean,
dude, a better argument, as somebody who saw the Snyder Cut trailer, a better argument that Snyder could have said was just, did you actually watch the trailer? Because if you actually watched the trailer, like I did, you would realize, no, it doesn't look exactly like Justice League. There are a lot of things that look different. Like, even just the general visual style looks different. Like, so I didn't agree with the guy that Zach was like defending himself over. I get why Zach defended himself, but I just don't agree with the reasoning he used to do that. It's yeah, like, if anything, just keep your mouth shut, enjoy your money. You're gonna make it, dude. So,
yeah, like,
don't sweat it.
No one likes to have people making dumb statements about their work online, especially if it's kind of blatantly not true or whatever. But if it's just it's some idiot, like, why even address it? I don't understand.
Yeah, and if you're gonna address it, at least do it right.
Right? Yeah, at least be like, well, even in the trailer alone, there was 3 minutes of this footage that was, just like, give an actual answer. Don't just be like, whatever, loser. Like that. That's
Yeah.
Sure, a random Twitter user is an idiot and looks like an idiot, but like, no one cares how they look. Zack Snyder, you're gonna look like a complete fool if you respond in that way.
The best part is, it's like the part where Zach insinuates that cartoons are for younger children in the way he words his tweet. He doesn't say it, but it's clearly implied. Didn't Batman start as a comic book?
No.
Didn't
Nope.
Superman start as a comic book?
Incorrect.
Oh, did it start as a dark, gritty movie for grown-ups?
Yeah,
I'm just
no,
saying,
of course,
like, dude,
of course.
consider the material you're actually making.
Yeah.
Like, where did it come from?
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely.
It's goofy. Deal with it. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Favorite Ren and Stimpy episode? I'm not a Ren and Stimpy person.
Me neither.
Why is pizza delivery so popular? Is it the Krusty Krab song? Diet Dr. Kelp? It's because
I think it's
it's
just
because
funny.
every moment in that episode is funny and memorable and interesting and unique and weird. And yeah, I mean, it's just a very like memorable episode. Like, I don't know, is there a part of that episode that doesn't work? I don't think so. Like, it starts with a really nice kind of like sunset shot of the Krusty Krab, and then Mr. Krabs turning the Krabby Patties into pizza, and then SpongeBob getting them trapped out in nowhere, and the SpongeBob's like what is his calls? He has like cowboy calls or something. I forget what the hitchhiking, the rock, just the Diet Dr. Kelp, Squidward standing up for SpongeBob, the song, the cool animation, like, and just kind of like the quintessential pairing of SpongeBob and Squidward. Just kind of like everything works in the episode,
Yep, absolutely. Are we going to get the Marvel's Avengers game? I don't plan on it. It looks like it could be good, but I don't know. I haven't really, other than I guess Spider-Man games, I've never really played any Marvel video games at all. I know it's being developed by Square or published by Square, but I don't know. I'm kind of iffy on that one. I'm more interested in the DC games, especially the ones that were just announced yesterday. So
yeah, I'm probably not gonna get it. I don't know. Lately, I've been more into playing Magic than video games, to be honest. It's
Mhm.
got to be a pretty interesting video game to get me like to want to get it. But to be fair, like nothing interesting has come out in the past few months, probably partially due to the
Yeah.
virus.
We are in a drought right now. I actually, to make up for that, I was looking at like games I've wanted to play in my backlog, and I actually ended up getting the new Tomb Raider trilogy. I got all three games, so I'm looking forward to playing through those pretty soon. Because the one was free for PlayStation Plus last month, so I was like, well, I got this one. I may as well get the other two. So, yeah. Ooh, here's one that's relevant. What's the worst soda you've ever tasted?
Um, Mountain Dew Whiteout.
Really? Okay.
No.
I actually I like or I hate Livewire more than Whiteout.
Oh, I love Livewire. Oh,
I don't know, man. I can't get behind Livewire for whatever reason.
mm.
But the worst soda I've ever tasted. So there's this thing in Disney World. I forget what it's called, but it's this Coca-Cola
Butterbeer.
thing in Epcot. No, no.
Shadow hates butterbeer. He's officially a monster.
I mean, on principle, because it's related to Harry Potter, there's a part of me that's like, yeah, I do. But I had it that one time when I went to Universal. It was pretty good, so like I let that slide. But no, in Disney World at Epcot, there's this Coca-Cola place, and there's these soda machines set up for like sodas around the world. And I don't remember what country it's for, but there's one that literally just tastes like you're drinking vitamins. It's like the worst thing ever. I couldn't even tell you what it was called or where it was from or anything. But anyone who's been to Disney World who may know what I'm talking about, if you're able to name that soda, that'd be great. Apparently, Invader Pez says the place is Club Cool. So, yeah, that place. Whichever one tastes like vitamins is the worst soda I've ever had.
Interesting. I don't know if it counts, but I do not like seltzers.
I don't like seltzers either. Yeah, I get that.
Sorry, I'm just shaming Nintendo for putting another Sonic reference in a video.
Okay. I am aware there's a Pepsi Man video game.
Yeah, Oreos are the best. Who wouldn't like Oreos?
They're really good.
My favorite are the mint ones.
Oh, okay. Apparently, Invader Pez used to work at Epcot.
What?
And you try to get Beverly was what it was called. That's really cool.
Oh,
that's cool.
Yeah, you know what? That sounds familiar. I think I saw a video about like some of those weird sodas and how some of them are like notoriously disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so they know what I'm talking about. I'm so glad somebody here gets it, because I don't remember which one it was. I think it was maybe the grapefruit one or something.
Is it durian?
I don't
is it
remember.
durian? Durian's
I don't remember, but I was gonna say the grapefruit one, if it was grapefruit or dragon fruit or something, was actually really good. Like I really like that one. Mm-hmm. But I haven't been to Disney in 2 years. I don't remember what they have there.
Okay.
Anymore, but yeah.
All right. Almost 4 o'clock.
Yep. Just getting one more last minute question.
Yep.
Is Pi's soda pie flavored?
Sure, why not?
And mine's shadow flavored.
That's weird. Dude, dislike. What does the shadow taste like?
Depression.
Jeez. All right.
Inner turmoil.
Well, on that note, welcome to Stream Soda officially starting. This week we're going to talk about Glitch Tech's Season Dose, aka the second half of Season 1. It's got to be as annoying as possible. So, yeah, 2 weeks ago, was it? 2 or 3? No, 3 weeks ago, I think, we talked about Season 1.
Yep, 3 weeks.
And we were both pretty stoked on it. The Castlevania episode being the best one.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so they dropped what Netflix is calling Season 2, although it really is still Season 1, but just split in half because I don't know. I guess probably because studies show that people don't want to watch a show with just one season because it most likely ends unsatisfactory, which womp womp. Um, if anything, though, I would say splitting this up and trying to call it 2 seasons makes it even more disappointing at the fact that this is probably the end
Yeah.
of the show.
Yeah, especially with how it ends.
Mhm.
It's like, really? I would have rather this just be season 1 and just be like that, because with that whole implying that, the 2 season implications thing, it just kind of makes it feel even
Yeah,
worse.
yeah.
So
So
the FNAF episode, yeah, we'll get to
yeah,
that.
yeah. I mean, we can kind of, since this is basically all we're talking about. I'm cool going down the line and just kind of talking about each episode.
Yeah,
Um,
I figured we'd do that since we gave our like general thoughts last time, and my opinion hasn't changed too
mhm.
much.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
there are some things that I'm glad this second half kind of, there are some things that I'm glad it improved on, but there's still other things that are like clearly missing.
yeah, I mean, I would definitely say as just an overview, it's pretty consistent with season one. I don't think that the stakes were raised. Like I don't think these episodes are better or more well developed than the ones in season one slash the first half of season one. I don't know. I'm just gonna say
Hmm.
part one then. Um,
Yeah.
I don't think that this. I don't know. And it's weird because it's like the season thing is kind of messing me up because you want a season two to kind of be more um well established, or develop more on the things that worked in season one, and maybe not do some of the things. But since it was all produced at the same time, I don't know if it's really fair to expect that. But yeah, it's consistent. It's consistently good with season one. Although yeah, there are certain things that are like not great. I would say,
Hmm. Yeah.
um, which should be relatively obvious, but we'll get there. Thanks for the super chat, Tune for Thought. Yeah, you have been a pretty big supporter of trying to get Glitch Text renewed. And yeah,
Hmm.
thank you for recommending the show so much to us. Yeah, I'm not, I'm not saying that the show is dead entirely, but Nick really screwed this one. Um,
It really did.
it's a sad thing. Imagine like God, imagine getting your dream opportunity to make a cartoon for Nickelodeon. I know one of the creators worked on Fanboy and Chum Chum too, but just like, imagine that's your dream and then you make it and then it spends like a year just kind of sitting around and then it gets on Netflix, right? Netflix, everyone loves Netflix, but then like they split the season into 2 seasons, which just kind of like breaks the flow and I think maybe makes higher expectations for the second half and then it's been so long since production that the issues with like the photosensitivity that they had to tone down some of the flashing light, like
Hmm.
the whole thing. um it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but all right. So talking about season two, um the first episode is called The Glitch Modder, and it introduces a character named Ridley who is not a glitch tech, but she can hack games and has some powers of the glitch tech people, basically. Like,
Hmm.
um, but of course she uses glitches, and the glitch techs are supposed to get rid of glitches, so they kind of have a conflict, and the character Ridley internalizes it and takes it personally and acts as if them having to do their job and removing glitches is like a personal offense against her, and Miko isn't her friend anymore. And then she runs off all edgy
Hmm.
in the end.
True that.
Uh,
Yeah. So I like the concept that's introduced here. It kind of gives this character presents a different perspective with glitches, and I think that it's really cool. I didn't really care. I mean, the episode's not awful. There were other episodes that I thought were worse than this one, but I never found myself really connecting with Ridley or sympathizing with her that
she
much.
reminded me of Dendi from OKKO.
If I saw more of OKKO, I'd get that
uh,
connection.
um,
But
oh, and someone Game Fan says Ridley reminded them of Peridot, which I could see that as well.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's a fair
yeah,
comparison.
she's just kind of like geeky shy girl, who's super nerdy, maybe a little bit different than other people and lashes out because she's not understood generally. Yeah, Ridley is most likely a reference to Metroid, although nothing to do with that. Like, it's just a name. Yeah, I mean, it was okay. I think that this episode kind of pushes or furthers the thought or the possibility that maybe Hinobi Corporation and the glitch techs themselves aren't necessarily the best thing. Like, I don't know if you got this sense, but watching the whole season, it kind of feels like they were maybe building towards a point where saying that, you know, because Hinobi is the corporation that like makes all these glitches, like, or all of these glitches are a byproduct of their work.
Yep.
And then, you know, the glitch techs come in, and even though Ridley's glitches weren't generally harmful, the glitch techs, it's still their job to deal with them. And there's not any wiggle room around that. And we see in other episodes too that, again, the company has a certain way of doing things. The whole incentivizing XP, it basically like rewards people for acting like Mitch and stealing kills and not being a team and putting personal gain over actually helping people with the glitches. But anyway, I felt like this episode kind of furthered that theme. Again, because there's no payoff to it in this season. If the show were to go on, there probably would be. I'm
hoping that there's a chance that the show could come back, and if it does, then I hope these questions are addressed, because I agree. I definitely, especially with Ridley's character, some other things that are brought up, it feels like they're building at something where Hinobi is not all pure and good as it's made out to be, and that there are these higher ups in the corporation that are like, pulling the strings, and there's some ulterior motive going on. And I think Ridley is supposed to show that, hey, here's a character who doesn't agree with what these glitch techs are doing. Glitches can be viewed in a different light. They can be a good thing. And, maybe eliminating them isn't the best solution to the problem.
And don't forget, too, the whole mind-wiping thing is a very, controlling... like, that in and of itself is kind of questionably... morally questionable, right? Like, that everyone needs to have their mind wiped of any experience with this, no matter whether it was a positive experience, a negative experience, whether they were going to tell other people or not. It's just kind of this general blanket, like, well, everyone gets their mind wiped.
Yep. Yeah, to cover their tracks. And on one hand, I understand it in the sense of maintaining society and keeping everything at the status quo, but that's also control in its purest form. So yeah, I agree with that too.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, no, overall this was an okay episode. Ridley's okay. I kind of thought Mitch was going to be the character that was kind of like the frenemy, but it ended up being Ridley.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen one of those episodes where it kind of reminded me a little bit of Terra from Teen Titans, one of those characters that the main characters form a friendship with, and then something happens and the friendship is called into question by an insecure character, and then they run away, and then not that Ridley turns evil, but when she comes back, she is also not particularly great acting, and that's cool. Characters that are in the gray area are interesting characters. Not everyone needs to be purely a good guy or purely a bad guy. They can be a decent person who makes some bad decisions that cost people things. And that's cool. But that's more on her second episode. So moving on, we get what is maybe my favorite episode of the second half would be Ping.
I really like this one.
Yeah. Which is
Ping.
it develops Five a little bit more and talks about his father, who was a hacker who got put in jail for hacking. But he also helped create the first video game, Ping. And basically it's just the dot from Pong, the ball from Pong, or the pixel from Pong gets glitched and becomes not even evil. It's just like a neutral glitch entity that is destructive and non-sentient.
Yeah, it's just like in it's just like in real Ping, which is Pong. It's just like real Pong. It's the pixel just bounces off of everything, and how do you stop it? Well, you can't.
Yep. But yeah, I thought that was a really good, like, it was kind of a fun video game reference. It's one of those things that they use a real life video game as kind of like the jumping off point for an idea, but it's not like it's just like, let's recreate a video game as an episode or something like that. It's just like, let's use it as a backdrop. I like that the pixel really isn't like good or evil or anything. It's just destructive, and it generally was fine until until 5 started getting emotional, and that's what led the pixel kind of go haywire. It was one of those good episodes that really mixes personal stakes and personal drama and feelings that real life people can relate to with a fun, crazy fantasy element.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Tune for Thought says in the chat, his dad being in jail is so powerful. You don't see a lot of rep of incarcerated family members in cartoons. And yeah, I mean, that's 100% true. That was, quite frankly, it caught me by surprise. But like after seeing it, it's like, yeah, this is really cool. You don't see this every day. And, I like the way that 5 is, at first he's like shutting it out. Like he doesn't want to remember. He doesn't want to be associated. He, by no means, like it's just this bad part of his life that he doesn't want to acknowledge. And to see him kind of come around to it, as the episode unfolds, and especially at the end, is like a really just satisfactory arc to watch, happen. And it really, like, this is probably my favorite episode of the second half, just because of like that aspect alone, along with the concept. And I especially like the way that he integrates his dad's work into how he solves the problem at the end. While Mitch and Miko are doing their thing and nothing they try works, like, 5 gets his time to shine, and he really is like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to use what my dad's done, and I'm going to put it to the test. And it works out, and it's really just satisfying. It's a very satisfying episode.
Are these big spoilers? Well, we're talking in depth about every episode, so yes. Like,
yeah. So
but yeah,
if you want to watch the show, I'd recommend you go watch it now, and then, or soon, and then watch the re-upload of this later, because we're gonna be talking about everything.
But I wouldn't say this show is predicated on big twists. Well, this season anyway. But yeah, no, and I agree with talking about his father being in jail. It's interesting too, because it's usually when there's like a character incarcerated in a cartoon, they've been falsely imprisoned, right? Like, like in Avatar, like they're war prisoners fighting for they need to be freed. They don't present it as like a, he's wrongly imprisoned or he's this or he's that. It's just like, nope, he hacked, he broke the law, he's serving his time. Like it's a refreshing take, and he doesn't make it out of jail anywhere in this season anyway. It's not like he makes like some triumphant return at the climax of this episode or something like that. It's just kind of, it's nice, because I'm sure anyone who realistically has to deal with this problem, your parents just not going to magically come out of jail when it's convenient to your story, right? Like it's yeah. I mean, granted, if the show were to go on, I wouldn't be surprised if he got out, or we got to see him in non-flashback form. But it's nice. It's nice as kind of like a backdrop to the episode. And then there's like fun speed stuff with Mitch and Miko.
Clifford goes, like the ending of Space Force. No, we do not want the ending of Space Force. I know Pi hasn't seen it, but don't do that, please. No.
Okay.
No.
Anyway.
Sorry, that comment just made me
All
laugh.
right, let's move on to the episode about animatronics being creepy.
Oh boy, it's Four Nights at
Ralphie's.
Ralphie's, yeah. So yeah, there was always this part of me that's like, there's gonna be some type of like, internet, not meme, but like internet cult game, and I was like, it's probably gonna be FNAF or Undertale. Let's be real. And sure enough, FNAF showed up. Not surprised. So
the thing is,
this episode,
we talked about it. We talked about it in the other stream we did, where this show walks a pretty fine line of using video games as a backdrop to tell original stories and like, straight up directly referencing things. Like there's a fine line because it's like you don't want to just directly like, I don't like, you don't want to be too direct about it or else it's not interesting. It's just you're just like, hey, here's a Five Nights at Freddy's episode. I think that this episode is smart enough to not go full Five Nights at Freddy's references all the time, unless I'm missing something. There are certainly references in there, but the backdrop. I mean, I think they'd leaned a little too far.
Yeah. So like the general premise for this episode is that Five always wanted to go to the Joystick Junior Arcade, I believe that's the name of the arcade, hosted these animatronic sessions, and Ralphie Bear being the main bear or whatever. And Five always wanted to have his birthday there, but there was this incident where the place got shut down because the birthday ruiner ended up destroying the mascot.
Oh, wonder who it is.
Down and yeah, and it's cool. Okay, this was like a subtle detail that like wasn't intrusive at all. But the fact that they made the birthday ruiner purple, like the purple guy from FNAF, like you wouldn't get that unless you know FNAF. So that was just like cool visual detail.
I didn't get that.
That wasn't intrusive. Yeah. Like that's what I'm talking about. Like that's a visual detail that does not intrude on anything. But yeah, and Five and Miko end up going there and they try to recreate it, and well, things don't quite go according to plan.
Yeah.
So
the thing is, the Five Nights at Freddy's thing isn't even the most annoying thing about this episode, though. It's the stupid repeated line over and over and over again about smashing Hector. Like, I swear that line is like 30 times in the episode between the background and foreground, and it's just like, really? Like, is anything better at the fact that, like, couldn't the robot not say this as much? Like, or couldn't the robot start like malfunctioning and then like saying something different?
Couldn't it start screaming like an actual FNAF animatronic? Like, it wasn't just that. It was also the fact that it said it in the exact same inflection every single time. I'm gonna smash Hector, like, every time. Like, yeah, that was annoying. I completely agree there.
Yeah, I mean, as others have said too, creepy animatronics is not just a Five Nights at Freddy's thing. Gravity Falls did it before Five Nights at Freddy's was a thing. Other older cartoons have done it too. It's I don't know. I don't like. I feel like if there had been a little more to the episode, I would have liked it. It's not just that like, oh, I don't like this episode because it references Five Nights at Freddy's. It references it quite a bit, and then when you kind of strip that away, it's like, what does the episode really have going for it? It has the twist with the birthday ruiner, but come on, anyone could see that coming. Like, they try to play it off like it's some cool revelation, and it's just like, okay, yeah, it's Miko. But except it's not really Miko because like the thing was creepy and and then like otherwise it's basically just another monster that they run around trying to fight. Like, I didn't feel like the hook to this episode was anything particularly interesting. I mean, it was nice to see a little bit more about Five's backstory after Ping. Like, kind of seeing a little more about that, and his dad like added a little layer of cool, but it's not like we learned really anything. The only thing we really learned is that his name is Hector, which, okay. Like,
well, you say the hook didn't grab you. What, didn't you want to see the Hinobi manager cash in his tickets and get a prize?
What's up with that? Like,
that was really just
random.
Weird. I don't know why they like started off with that. Like,
I wish I liked Phil as a character more than I do. I want to like him. I want to like him as just kind of like the tired old manager to a bunch of teenagers running around fighting glitches, but like, he's exactly that. There's nothing more interesting about him than that. That is his character. He exists to kind of like eat donuts and grumble. He's not particularly good at his job or particularly bad at his job. He's just there.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. You thought Five was his real name? You don't think his parents would really name him 5?
Well, I mean, I know somebody who named their child North.
I was just referencing the show. But yeah, the finale teases something a little more interesting about Phil, but we don't get to learn it. So so
Yeah, as far as we know, nothing ever comes of it. 'Cause it's the
all right,
end,
all right.
it's done,
So yeah, so I would say Ralphie
Yeah.
Bear is Back is the second worst episode of the second half.
Yeah, it's definitely in my lower
Mhm.
pool.
All right, so then we have the episode Buds, where Mitch is replaced with a glitch double who makes him act nice, and then they body snatch everyone.
Yep.
Eh.
Yep. This one's kind of just there.
Yeah. Um.
I don't know. It's funny because like after I finished all the episodes, like I went back and I looked at the list to kind of refresh myself on the order, and I was like, did I watch this episode? Because I didn't have many memories of it. It's
No, it's a body.
It's
It's
just
it's a
kind
parody of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It's
Yeah.
exactly that. They try to kind of play around with like, oh, Mitch is nice now, but it's not a twist. We know what's happening with. It's not Mitch. Like, they kind of tease the idea that all the snatches are like versions of who they could be, like reloading a save file or something. So I guess it implies that Mitch could be a nice person, but like, I don't know. It just it wasn't bad. Like I wasn't like, oh, this episode, but like I don't know. This is what I kind of mean, where it's like consistent with season 1 in that I don't think that like it raises the stakes or does anything better. It does things generally as good, which is fine. It's a good show, but yeah, like I don't really have anything to say about this one.
Yeah, it's just kind of there. It's I don't. It's funny because like after the past couple of years of like watching a lot of shows, I know it's not filler, but it's like a filler episode. That's what I call it, because it's just kind of like it's there in between other episodes that are either really good or really bad. It's just taking up a slot in the season production list, and that's that. It's fine. I don't hate it or love it. It's just okay.
It was
And
I don't know if it was intentional or not, but the monster reminded me of the tentacle from Day of the Tentacle, the green and purple tentacles. Very not that game has anything to do with this, but yeah, references. Yeah, I don't know. It just the thing is this when you kind of have such a high concept, interesting idea as like glitches are real and they come to life and you got to fight them with video game power ups, like. Doing like an Invasion of the Body Snatchers episode is just kind of like it feels like you're wasting your premise a little bit. That's just kind of like how I felt about it. Like, I wish. I also wish Mitch was a more interesting character. There is a character that develops him, or there's an episode that develops him a little bit more than this, but. Yeah. This is still just Mitch is a jerk. He's a jerk. He's a jerk. And then when he's not a jerk, surprise, it's not him. Like,
yeah, especially because it's like they even show it at the very beginning.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, yeah, clearly as soon as he walks in, it's like, okay, that's not Mitch, or it is Mitch and he's brainwashed.
Right.
But
I kind of wish it was just Mitch that was like snatched. Like instead of doing the whole like, ooh, they're gonna snatch everyone and replace them all. It was just Mitch, and we had a conversation about like, oh, maybe Mitch has changed, maybe he hasn't. I mean, they do kind of talk about that, but like. Again, we know like he hasn't. It's so yeah. So that's Buds.
Bud is a dud.
All right.
Buds
on to a more interesting episode, The New Recruit.
Absolutely. So this I like this episode more than the first episode with Ridley. This is Ridley's second episode.
This is the one that firmly plants her in that like third party character, not a good guy, not a bad guy, but just kind of like an affiliate of the heroes. And again, it raises some interesting stuff that we don't like Mitch. So okay, so basically this is the episode where Ridley comes back and Miko wants to get her to be a glitch tech, and they recruit her, and then she turns on them. Like,
yeah, shenanigans happen.
uh, um,
Yeah, that's the basic premise. But it's cool because it more than just like the first episode with Miko and Ridley. It's like they're friends for 3 minutes and then they're not, and then it's just But with this one, it's like they actually get to spend some more time together. Ridley actually sees what Miko and Five do on a daily basis to kind of get more of their perspective. There's obviously the moment where she turns on them, but she also has that realization where she's like, she agreed to not let anybody get hurt, and that kind of shows, okay, she has morals. Right. She clearly feels bad leaving them in danger, so she goes back to help, which she also uses to her advantage at the end.
She also breaks the rules, but like the main characters break the rules like every other episode, so
right.
But yeah, I mean, it was just fun. It was fun to see this third-party character that wasn't not a glitch tech, but not a glitch tech, I guess. And you kind of what's fun about characters like that is you don't know what they're gonna do. If they're gonna take the turn and go completely, I don't care about them, and leave them to get attacked by the glitches, or if she's gonna be like, well, I feel betrayed by them, but no one deserves to get hurt over this. Like, so you really genuinely don't know where she's going as the episode progresses. Like, there's definitely a part of me that was like, oh, she might just become a glitch tech. Like, or this could be like an arc that happens over a few episodes, or there's definitely that. And she has a really great point about Mitch. Like, he cheats the system all the time to get XP, and that's really messed up.
Yep.
So,
yeah, and with cheating, well, indirect cheating being incentivized, she brings up a good point, because that's essentially at one point what she and Miko and Five do, is they cheat to get their score to top Mitch's, and like, clearly something's up, and Mitch feels obviously taken aback by that, but that kind of undoes it. Well, it doesn't undo itself, but it gets reciprocated when Ridley helps Mitch out in the climax, and then Mitch lets her go,
which was
out of respect. Because
that was really interesting, but we're never, I mean, she doesn't show up again, so we don't really get to see, like, does Mitch respect her because she's powerful? Like, what they could definitely form some sort of interesting alliance.
Yeah, I could totally see something like that.
And it was still very surprising to see Mitch do something that was really nice. Like, he did not have to do that in any way, shape, or form. So it kind of makes me wonder if there is some sort of ulterior motive he has, or if she reminds him of someone or something. Like, I don't know. Yeah, interesting stuff in that episode, but we don't get to follow up on it, so that's a bit of a bummer.
Yeah.
All right, you ready for the best episode?
As soon as I figured out what was going on with this one, I was like, okay, yeah, I cannot wait to talk about this.
Here's Find the Glitch, episode 6. So basically, that lady comes back, the inspector from HQ, right? Who last we saw her was making a very ominous statement about Miko to some higher ups who we never get to meet. So you start the episode off thinking like, oh man, this is gonna be good. We're finally gonna get to learn something about why she can't be memory wiped, or like what's going on at Hinobi Corporate, like what's going on. And then it's a clip show.
It's a clip show. In
season 1,
episode 16. Episode 6 freaking teen.
Okay, all right. So here's the thing. Here's the thing that I want to address right off the bat. This is, in my mind, it's undoubtedly a budgetary thing. I mean, this is why the Legend of Korra clip show, which I also saw this week, that's why that happened. Basically, Nickelodeon's allotted them a certain budget and made them, they had to make a certain amount of episodes, and basically they do clip shows because it's either clip shows or firing people. And of course they'll, generally speaking, if it comes between making a bad episode of your show and like, having to fire people who rely on that source of income, you're going to make a bad episode of the show. I don't know the exact specifics of what exactly behind this, but considering everything else that's gone on with the show and how cursed it is and how Nickelodeon treats their shows, I wouldn't be surprised if this was done because it had to be done. But just because there's like legitimate reasons to do this behind the scenes doesn't mean that we're gonna evaluate it any differently. It's a crummy clip show, and they try, but I don't think they try hard enough.
They try. It's a YouTube poop. That's all it is.
Well, what bothers me is that so I would have skipped this episode. But again, they at the beginning they and even in the middle of the episode they kind of tease, okay, are we gonna get is Miko a glitch? Why can't she be wiped? And like, what? Think about it. She's been able to do all sorts of crazy things. Like they raise interesting things, and then in the end they're like, nah. So it's almost an important episode, and then it's not. So I just
because it's like, so for context, like the whole episode is set up so Inspector Seven's like, okay, we're gonna put all you in a room, one of you is a glitch, figure it out. And then she leaves with Phil, and so it's kind of setting up the whole idea of like, okay, which one of us is the mole?
I almost wonder if it's a Danganronpa episode with them all going around in a circle accusing each other. That's like the conceit of that game, is that there's a murder and then everyone has to everyone has to agree on who the murderer is, or else everyone dies. But that's probably where that reference ends, if that is a reference.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, like, I like the setup because it's like, okay, this is cool. There are some interesting like character dynamics. We can see who's gonna backstab who's and they just start playing clips, and it's like, okay, and then it just evolved into YouTube poop, and I was like, oh, it's not even just a regular clip show; it's a YouTube clip show.
Yeah.
And the only thing that it didn't make me laugh, I just appreciate that they actually bothered to take the time to do this, is they montaged all of the times they have said glitch across the first 15 episodes.
15 episodes, you don't have not enough material to do anything else. Here's the thing. So this week I saw the Korra clip show and the Office clip show, just because, not intentionally, but just that's where I was in terms of watching episodes. And the Korra clip show happens in season 4 when there's only, I mean, it's towards the end of the show, but there's still only something like 30 episodes of material to pull from. And basically they kind of do something similar to Glitch Text in that they try to mix up the footage a little bit, and they try to have characters, like little character sprites appearing on screen commentating on what's happening, right? But the Legend of Korra one is awful because the first third of it is a montage of all of the really, really awful romance scenes from the first 2 seasons that everyone hated. So it's just kind of putting the worst of Legend of Korra back to back. But the third section is Varrick basically telling this crazy story about how all the villains teaming up and Bolin stopping them in an incredibly fictitious and over the top comedic way. Like they have all the characters on like telephones and their lips are flapping for animation. They really tried to make it funny and interesting. And although I still think the Legend of Korra clip show sucks, especially for that first segment, I appreciate that they at least tried to mix it up and tell something funny and crazy and weird. And that's what they kind of tried to do with Glitch Text, but they just didn't do enough. I feel like. And also, and then, so The Office's clip show comes in season 6. So by that point, there's a good, 60 other episodes, if not more, for the show to pull from, material-wise. And The Office is the kind of show where, you can easily mash together, a bunch of Jim's pranks to make a really funny highlight reel. And The Office's clip show is not a great episode of television, but as far as clip shows that are not, ironic clip shows like Communities or Ed, Edd n Eddy's, as far as genuine clip shows, The Office makes it work because it has so many moments, and it's it's such a long show that it works. But Glitch Text, again, it's they have nothing to pull from other than what we just saw. Made even worse by the fact that this is now a Netflix show, meaning most people are going to be binging it, so it's stuff that we just saw.
It is, yeah.
So
yeah. So they say, someone asked, what is the best way to do a clip show? You make well, it's a clip show, but it's not in the sense that you can make the structure of a clip show, but if all the clips are like actually new
Yeah, but that
clips,
doesn't
new
count, Shadow. That's
footage.
not an actual clip show. Clip shows are done
Well,
because of budgetary reasons, and that's done as a parody. Community's done it, Ed and
okay.
Eddie's done it. Lots of shows have done it.
So
But that I wouldn't.
so
Yeah.
my next point is what happens when it does both. Like if it starts with reused footage and then it switches to new footage. Where does like that's a gray area,
I
isn't
mean,
it?
I guess I'm not trying to gatekeep what a clip show is, but it's just like the reason people don't like clip shows is because it is showing stuff that you just saw. And I wouldn't
Right.
say that's not fair to say that something like the Ed and Eddie episode where
Mhm.
you're not seeing anything that you just saw. It's a completely original episode that uses the construct. So
Right.
yes, the best clip show is a parody of a clip show that isn't actually a clip show. But in terms of actual like legit clip shows, where if let's say they have to use at least like 10 minutes of old footage, um, I would say the best kind is something like The Office, where it's a show that has gone on long enough and has moments that they can just kind of show. Um, But I don't know. But you're
Mhm.
not always so lucky to do that because sometimes you have to do that with only a few episodes in the can, apparently. Granted, I would have made this like the second to last episode of the season to try to have as much material as possible. Um, I like what they tried to do with like the who's the mole type of thing. What I think could have been done is maybe have more, since the animation is what's the most expensive thing. You could have the voice actors talk more, talk over all the clips basically, and they do it a little bit here. But you
Mhm.
could have that to the point where it is essentially, feels like a lot more
Riff tracks.
material, even if it's not strictly
Mhm.
that. Um, and I mean, I
Yeah.
like the conceit of like, well, let's review everyone's footage to try to spot if anyone's done anything sketchy. Like, sure, that's cool. But they kind of abandon that. Like half of it is just, yeah,
Mhm.
let's make a fart montage. Uh,
Yeah. I would have been fine if they mystery science theatered it a little bit, you
hmm.
know, like have maybe have like the
Yeah,
characters at the bottom of the screen or something just like watching and reacting. You know, you don't have to animate them moving every
yeah.
second, but you know, you can have them just react and I thought that would be
Hmm.
fine. Like Lion King 1.5. Exact that's the exact comparison I was thinking of. Um
Yeah,
yeah, I just think that this episode, for it being what is essentially one
yeah.
season, just split in two, it doesn't belong
Uh,
here. And the fact that it did devolve into a YouTube poops, like, come on, really? Like, I don't know. I thought the show would be above that, but I guess if budget's the reason, like, I understand, but it's still a bad episode.
yeah,
So,
yeah. And I mean, the thing is, it might be some sort of foreshadowing. Miko could still end up being a glitch. Who knows?
hmm
Um, but yeah, I'm kind of bothered by the fact that they tease it as something that's kind of important. I would rather them just upfront, just just kind of be like, this is going to be a dumb fluff episode. Skip it if you want. Like,
yeah,
but the fact that they teased, it's the only other episode. It's the only other episode after like the second episode that even brings up the fact that Miko can't be mind wiped, or not. Not the only one that brings it up, but it's like it almost elaborates on it, right? Like it's something that doesn't come up all that often in the show, and then it's allegedly like the driving mystery. I kind of I wish it wasn't a part of the show, to be honest, because it doesn't
yeah,
do anything. Um, I feel like if you're
yeah.
going to introduce an ongoing mystery like that, you have to at least pay it some sort of service by the end of the first season. Like, I'm not saying you have to answer
hmm
everything. You can have mysteries on go, but just in case your show doesn't get renewed, or even just for the pacing of the whole show, like really the fact that Miko, why she can't be mind wiped, we don't even get a hint by the end of the season, is kind of lame. Unless she is
hmm
a glitch, and this is
Yeah.
the hint. I don't. But there's nothing to suggest that. If she is, like the show says, she'd basically be an undetectable, perfect glitch that doesn't act like a glitch in any way. Which is like,
hmm
yeah, yeah. But yeah, no. I mean, I
Yeah.
appreciate the fact that they tried somewhat, but eh. Um,
Glitch, 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 glitch,
the
glitch, glitch, glitch.
yeah, yeah,
Sorry.
you're good. Um,
I only appreciated that because it's like, wow, they really had to sit down and pull as many
Yeah.
moments of them saying glitch together really rapidly. I was like, man, I would have not enjoyed doing that if that was my job. So I have respect for whoever managed to have the tolerance to put that together, because that's a very tedious job.
Um, the only other thing I didn't like about this episode is the implication that so they're all being recorded all the time, but yet like they break the rules in every episode, and like why are they being recorded if not to like evaluate them or whatever? Like they get away with all sorts of things, and then there's also even a clip of Mitch letting Ridley go without wiping her memory. Like, did the characters see that? Do they now know that Ridley's memory hasn't been wiped, and why do they have no reaction to that? I don't think so. I think it's just, well, we got to use every dang clip we possibly can pull. That's interesting because, oh, hey, Jinx Toonjay. Toonjay was feeling the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's definitely one of those cases where, you know, it feels like there just wasn't enough to use, because when you think about it in continuity, it's like, okay, some of these things, like, really, like, when did Zara admitting her crush ever, like, where was that, what was recorded, how is that recorded, you know? It's like, why is that being revealed now? And everyone's just like, oh, okay. I don't know. It's more just the episode had to have footage there. So
okay. So moving on, we have an episode that has a title that's definitely like, oh, and then it, you know, yeah. The real glitch techs. So basically, there's like an unwritten rule for the glitch techs that they're not supposed to go off their territory and into another glitch tech group's territory's town. And Five breaks it by stepping like 2 feet into this other town to collect this really rare cat. Once again, the EXP system biting everyone in the butt.
Yep.
And because of that, and due to some influence by Mitch, the neighboring glitch techs start like a turf war where they now go to our main hero's town and collect their glitches, and that's upsetting because they don't get experience anymore.
Yeah, it's just a competitive rival episode where it's like, oh, we're against our equals now.
Yeah. The title makes it seem like, oh man, have our characters been imposters? Like, are they like a Splinters section of Hinobi? Like, are they not the real, or no? It's just I don't know why it's called that.
It's just name. The real
right. It's like, well, they're all real glitch techs. It's just, you know, they shouldn't have been.
They're like 90s real. That's what.
Right. I like the group fight scenes in this episode. I thought that was pretty cool. There's another mystery, and who was nameless? I don't know. Could be anyone. It could be Ridley. I have no idea. Could be Five's twin, Six. Oh gosh. Could be the dad that was sleeping in the first scene of the show. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
It's a reference to 80s cartoons, the Ghostbusters and the real Ghostbusters. I don't see how that's a reference.
Like, I don't know, maybe it's just a take on, like, because I'm not familiar with real Ghostbusters, so maybe it's just a take on the other glitch tech group being a
better glitch tech group. I mean, I think that's what it's supposed to be in a literal sense, but I just don't. I think that there's like the other glitch techs would be a much more like telling name. Anyway, yeah. I mean,
they might be right. It might be a reference,
maybe,
but I don't get it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I liked the group fight scenes. I thought they were really well done. I like the enemies being these slimes that fuse together and spray slime everywhere. Like, there's some fun stuff with that. I didn't really care for the whole I don't know, like the rivalry of it and the bosses having a rival. Like, it didn't really do anything for me. And like, is it supposed to be a twist that there's no rule against no poaching? I mean, it's pretty obvious why, if there's XP involved, and like the techs are supposed to be doing it for like the good of people, right? To help everyone and not have everyone be terrorized by monsters, not just to collect XP. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that would be part of it, because if it was just a free-for-all, like Battle Royale, then nobody would care about their fellow employees, and they'd all just be every man for themselves, and I could see how that would
Right,
evolve into
right.
chaos really
Yeah,
fast.
but no, no,
So.
no. It's because of a stupid feud between Jane Lynch and their boss.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, again, this is another one that it's like, yep, this is a fine episode. There's some interesting stuff in it, but I don't think it really did anything that like is different from a lot of other things.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that could see this expanding on is like, okay, so there's a Titans east of the glitch text world, so they could expand and see how far Hinobi really stretches, and again, it could add to a greater thing that the show might be going for, but as far as we're concerned right now, it doesn't.
I mean, it definitely does like a little bit of the background development of showing that there are other glitch. I mean, you kind of assume that, but it's cool to see it. And it's again yet another example of how like the EXP system just breeds really awful competitiveness versus actually just fighting the monsters.
Yeah.
Also the whole thing with like 5 not telling them, because Mitch shushes them or there's not a good time for him to tell them. Yeah. Like, it has to be done for the sake of the story. But it just kind of felt a little forced, a little bit like, well, Mitch could have really, or 5 could have told them at any time, really. Yep. Okay. So settling the score is episode 8, where basically new people that came to the town are upping Miko's score on an arcade cabinet, and she's upset because that game is like very special to her. It's the first game that got her cred in the area when she moved in. And she basically starts a rivalry with a little kid, and due to them DDRing too hard, shout outs to CR Martin, due to them DDRing too hard, they make giant monsters appear, and 5 has to help Miko let it go.
Yep. It's a good episode about, holding on to a grudge, kind of.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not a grudge, but
and also not placing so much value in symbolism or whatever. Like, yeah, sure, getting good at that game helped her kind of like make some friends initially, but there's no real reason why she needs to hold on to that score, especially if it means a lot to this kid.
Yeah. I liked it. I liked this episode. It was pretty entertaining, and I like the it kind of shows how Miko, having the experience that she did when she was younger, shows that, it's like, okay, yeah, I understand what this kid is going through, and I don't want him to feel how I felt when I first moved here. And it shows that level of understanding that I really appreciated. And I thought that the what's the older brother's name?
Ryu.
Remember? I don't. Ryu. Okay. Street Fighter reference. I liked at the beginning how, like, it made you think like Ryu's the one who's really tampering with Miko, and then it's like, oh, nope, it was the younger kid, and it's like, oh, okay, that was cool, because I liked how the episode kind of set you up. And I also enjoyed watching 5 and Ryu just play cards in the background and just doing like all these other things while they're going hard at this game. It's just like, man,
I always love seeing trading cards getting repped. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, this is like continuing development from the Five Nights at Freddy's episode, where we kind of find out that Miko was like not super liked or popular when she first came to town. So yeah, and I mean, you see it coming a mile away that of course the game is going to glitch and it's going to be a big issue and all that stuff, but it's still a very fun journey. It's cool to see Alpha again, the only other appearance.
Yeah.
Like, I think, right? The only other appearance after he's introduced.
Yeah, I appreciated that too. It was cool to see.
And the whole Shadow of the Colossus reference, scaling the giant creature, that was all super cool. Really cool animation in this one, and just seeing like the giant fight and then the kaiju song that slapped. Yeah, I mean, it's it's a good episode.
Yeah, absolutely. I like this one. Definitely in like probably my top. I'd say this is in my top 3 of the second half.
And I do love the friendship between Miko and Five. Like that's something that's throughout all of them, even even the clip show episode. It's just really nice how strong a friendship they have. Like they're really nice to each other, and it's really sweet.
Absolutely.
It all came together. Like I think if you were to extract elements of this episode, and it would just kind of be like, oh well, it sounds like basically every episode of Glitch Text, right? There's a giant monster, there's a personal stake, there's glitches and whatever. But really, like everything kind of came together between the music, the animation, the story, just everything came together to make it something really special, even within the show. So, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
I'm Mitch Williams.
You
No,
are?
it's the name of the episode.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, ooh, I'm not gonna like you then.
All right. Who's ready for character development? Actually, it's not even character development. It's just
not.
backstory. It's just like,
yeah.
do you guys know the jerk character had a family? I mean,
he did.
I kind of assumed he did, but we get to see him. So yeah. Basically, the main characters think that Mitch is using an XP farm where it's just like this house that's just in disarray with glitches, and Mitch never actually solves the glitch problem, but just kind of goes there to farm it. But it turns out, surprise of all surprises, it's his siblings. You know, because they have the same skin tone and accent, and you know, literally call him brother. Like, it takes our main characters like 15 minutes to figure that out. I just,
yeah, it was obvious as soon as the episode like set it up. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's his
right.
house.
We don't actually know how he's been farming XP other than just being a cheater. But yeah, I mean, he does develop a little bit towards the end. Teamwork, friendship, blah blah. Yeah. So it turns out that it's not an XP farm. It's just his brothers and sister that leave the house in a glitch-prone zone so that Mitch has a reason to come back and visit them. Yay.
Yeah. I in our first stream, I had mentioned that I wanted to see more of Mitch and like get a better understanding of his motivation, and like I see what this is doing. This wasn't what I really wanted.
Yeah.
I don't know. It didn't do anything for me.
No, I don't think this gave Mitch like a strong backstory of like why he acts like a jerk. I don't think it basically kind of showed that yes, he does have a soft spot for some people. You know, he's not a jerk entirely, and we knew that from other episodes. It's you know, we've seen glimpses of him in his past. This doesn't really answer any big questions about like what kind of turned him into a jerk, or why, you know, why is he the way he is, or maybe what can be done. How did he get to be like the #1 glitch tech, and why does the boss like him so much, even though he just blatantly disregards all of the rules and acts like a big jerk all the time. You know, there's definitely, I was kind of hoping from a Mitch episode we could get something like that, but it's just him being his usual self up until the climax when he's like, yeah, I guess I should help. And then he helps, and then he's still a jerk. So,
yeah.
They showed
that is something.
They did show us that in another episode. I'm trying to remember. I don't remember which one it was, but Five used to watch him. Or that might have been from this episode. I don't know.
I think it was a different episode. It might have been from Buds.
Yeah.
Maybe. Or maybe not. I don't know. I don't remember.
But I don't know. There's so much focus on this character. And I really thought, like, from season 1 that, okay, this is him in his jerk form, and we're going to kind of establish he's a jerk, and then we're going to, throughout the season, we're going to kind of either develop him to be more of a bad guy or more of a good guy or do something.
Yeah.
But instead, it was the pilot. Okay. Instead, he just kind of is a jerk with, like, a little bit of redeeming quality. He's a jerk with a heart of, I don't know, plastic or something, like not stone, but not gold. Yeah,
Yeah, that's another point that I see a few people bringing up is actually Mitch got a haircut. I think it was 2 or 3 episodes ago. It was the real Glitch Tex. He got a hairstyle change and he looks got a different outfit. So
Cool.
I don't know. It seemed kind of weird. Like when I first saw it, I was like, oh, is there a reason? I don't know. I mean, I don't have
Meaningful
anything.
haircuts when something actually happens to them, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
um,
yeah. So I don't know. It just kind of caught me off guard because I just noticed he's like, oh, Mitch looks different, but there wasn't a reason for it. So I was like, okay. I don't have anything like against a character being redesigned, but usually there is a reason. So when there isn't, it's like, oh, okay.
yeah. Yeah. Um, I don't know. And it also seemed just kind of, it's more of, it's just like more Mitch stuff, right? Where the glitch is initially, anyway, pretty easy to deal with, but the only reason they can't is because Mitch is always has to be the guy that gets the kill, right? He's always got to be the
Mm-hmm.
one, the first one out of the room. Like, the only reason this glitch is such a problem is because he is awful and obnoxious. And seeing a whole episode about it when I wasn't particularly like a fan, it just I didn't hate
Yeah.
this, but I'm just kind of like, all right, well, we're getting to the end of the season here. Are we going to get something interesting? Like, is no, this is as developed as we're going to get, Mitch, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
his siblings are really stupid.
They are.
Like,
They are.
they just like throw controllers and they have extension cords all around the house and just pizza everywhere, and they don't really, they're just like, oh, it's an AR experience, okay. Like, also, I don't understand, how are they streaming if like they're having conversations with people while they're on VR? Like, that's not, is that being streamed? Like, I don't understand.
I don't know. I wasn't completely sure either, to be honest with you. Especially with like Miko 5 and Mitch running around chasing this
Yeah.
glitch, and they're just kind of like, "Oh yeah, hey Mitch, how's it going?"
Hmm.
It's like, are they ignoring chat? Is that what's going on here? Do they just not care about chat? Like,
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, this episode was disappointing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I feel about it. I think as an episode it's like okay, but it's like when you want to see the character be more interesting than he is and he comes out not any more developed or interesting, um like, other than like he can use teamwork sometimes. Like, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't, I mean, maybe it develops in the sense that yeah, his siblings all seem kind of inept. So maybe
Mm-hmm.
he had to grow up fast to take care of them or something, but anything like that, any conclusion like that is kind of like an audience conclusion that's not firmly supported in the show. They just kind of say they miss him. We don't see
Mm-hmm.
anything about his parents, so I don't know. It sucks because I'm sure, I don't know. I feel like this episode, maybe as like episode 4 or something, like really early on, would have been much better. To just kind
Yeah.
of firmly
Yeah.
establish who Mitch is, rather than kind of leaving it towards closer to the end, where we've had now just so many episodes where the conflict is driven or at least made worse by Mitch being a jerk, and yet here we are. It's another episode where full episode of Mitch getting in everyone's way.
Yep.
People are arguing about the episodes being out of order, but I don't, it didn't bother or like I didn't notice. I don't know in what way are the episodes out of order. Uh,
Yeah. Is there like what is? Because I don't really see how there would be like a different order that would make the show any
right.
different.
Like they might have been produced in different.
See, and the other thing that's like weird to me is like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they did it on purpose since he and his team loved the work they did. See, the thing that's like weird though is like if it's out of order, why are the last 4 episodes all the only episodes where Mitch has this other design?
Yeah.
Like where did the order is like did the order change in the writing stage before any animation was even done, or like cuz that's another thing. And like the clip show only used episodes from
Right.
before it. Like it didn't use anything from after those other 4 episodes. So I don't know. I'm just kind of confused on what the order was supposed to
I mean, the
be.
only weird thing is, um, so in the clip show, the glitch turned out to be like the boss's pet. When in the real glitch text, we find out who the pet is, but then it's taken by the lady. So I guess it couldn't have been out of order. I don't.
Yeah, because the real glitch text came after the clip
Yeah,
show.
I don't know.
Yeah, so
And
I'm just not
guys,
sure
just
like
sometimes
what.
production order isn't the intended airing order to begin with. Sometimes episodes are just produced. They need a number that doesn't necessarily mean they ever intended for certain things to be before or after. Uh,
Yeah, because I don't know. I just don't see other than like the connection you just mentioned and the Ridley episodes. I guess I can't think of too many other episode. Maybe the pet with Alpha, but like I can't really see like if they switched Buds and uh Ralphie Bear, like it wouldn't have made a difference, would it?
right, like maybe Adventures in Pet
You know?
Training was supposed to be much later, so that Alpha not showing up that much is not weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter to me. I don't.
Yeah, it didn't impact my viewing of the series at all, I don't think.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So then let's move on to the last episode, Bit Prime. Um. So the robot that runs Glitch Tech's HQ is acting really glitchy and slow, and the boss makes a comment about like trading him in for a nicer model, and so Miko and Five decide to go inside of Bit and kind of format his hard drive a little bit to make more room so he's not as glitchy, and then they execute a program that involves him running around um, collecting like sugar and flour and stuff to make baked goods. Um, and then it turns out that, oh wow, this program was one that the boss didn't even know was on the computer because he himself was mind wiped. Ooh.
yeah. It's a cliffhanger. And we're going to be dangling from that cliff forever unless the show gets picked
I
up.
hate it too because, in my opinion, when it comes to story structure, you can absolutely do a cliffhanger after season 1, sure, but you got to give the audience something, and we don't get anything. The only thing we
Yeah.
get is finding out that the boss's mind was wiped because of some sinister something going on at Hinobi, like HQ. But we don't get.
And it's just
There's nothing.
It's
You're right.
just
There's no other information outside of that. Even if
yeah, it's like all of not all, but like all the episodes that have a cliffhanger or something like this that hinted something else, like the other episode, the first episode with the inspector commenting about
Mhm.
Miko, it's like these things have potential to go somewhere, but like no other episode expands on it at all. So it's like there's all these little hints at like, yeah, something is happening, but we don't know anything other than it's like something is happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for telling me that something is
and
happening.
that's what kind of irks me a bit. Like if
Yeah.
we maybe got a clue as to what went on with Miko, why she can't be mind wiped, and then we got this cliffhanger. Like okay, but it's just so many things. Who is that mysterious glitch tech on the other glitch tech group? Why can't Miko be mind wiped? What what are we ever going to meet Five's dad for real, like in present day? Like, there's so many things that are either mysteries or kind of like or like what's going on with Ridley. Like you're kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop and to not give us any breadcrumbs, even if season 2 was imminent, right? Was going to come next year, to still have to make us wait without giving us a satisfying payoff. It bothered me. Maybe this is the out of order thing because I don't know what episode. Maybe the new recruit would have made for a better season finale. But this just didn't. This didn't feel like a great season finale, personally.
Yeah, that's the other thing that I was thinking of when they mentioned the out of order thing is like I don't know what the finale like what would be a better finale. Like I can't think of a single episode that really feels conclusive.
Right.
Cuz even I mean the second Ridley episode is a good episode.
Right, and it does pay off
To maybe put at the
that
end.
happened earlier in the season.
But no matter what the order is, all of these episodes still have the same unanswered questions. It doesn't matter which one comes
True,
where.
that's true.
So it's like it doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just unfortunate. Like if we knew we were getting more, if we knew the show had more on the horizon, then I would not be like complaining as much or be as bothered.
I would still
by
be
all
bothered
of
because
this
you still have
stuff.
to wait either one way or another. I mean,
Right.
But
Right.
it's
But
this-
it to me it would signal the show has a plan. It's like they're clearly is something that this show wants to do. They're hinting at it. This is all set up. We're going to get to what it wants, but that's not, as far as we're aware, not happening. And that's why it's like, this is unfortunate, because there is a lot of potential here and a lot of good things that I could see coming from these ideas that the show is integrated here. And I'd love to see them get expanded on. And it's, you know, considering Nickelodeon's mistreatment of this, it's like, it might not ever see the light of day. And that's really sad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Really sad.
As far as the episode goes, like, not looking at it as a season finale, oh, well, hang on. I just want to address what Tune for Thought says. That at the time they were promised a second season, it got pulled away abruptly when 10 episodes were left in the animatic stage. And I mean, that is truly unfortunate, and that is on Nick. But nothing is ever a guarantee. And like I said, even I'm not so upset with them doing a cliffhanger. It's just I think that at the end of season 1, regardless of if you guarantee to have more episodes coming, you need to give the audience some satisfying payoff to something.
Right.
And I just don't feel like this episode was. But I understand. I mean, sometimes creators intentionally cliffhang without giving any sort of resolution because they want people to be upset and they want people to make noise on social media, and they they do it as a bargaining chip to try to get the networks to pick them up again. And I'm not this show. It's not guaranteed to be dead, especially because Netflix is the way Netflix is. Maybe Nickelodeon doesn't want anything to do with it, but seeing as it is technically a Netflix original or something like that, it really wouldn't be that far of a stretch for Netflix to pick it up and say, screw off, Nickelodeon. Like, you don't want this show? Fine. Like, but anyway, talking about the episode as not from that cliffhanger, just as an episode, I think it was pretty fun. Having the robot kind of go haywire and collecting all of these random materials was pretty funny.
Yeah, I did enjoy the episode. I thought it was fun, especially because this felt like Bit was more than just a background element that showed up every once in a while.
One thing that does kind of get me, though, is that I do feel like by this episode, there is a real hard formula to the show that maybe is to its detriment, and hopefully if they were to have more episodes, I would kind of hope that they maybe do something about, because it really is, there's characters kind of mess around, there's a glitch, or in this case a robot. I mean, I guess he is kind of glitched in a way. Like, there's a big unstoppable glitch that they spend half the episode chasing, and then in the end they find some way to defeat it. Like, there are other ways to tell this story. You can have glitch monsters that maybe get away in the end, or you can have glitches that I don't like. I don't know. It feels like there's kind of more that they can do other than just big bad monster that they beat up at the end of the episode, or they find its weak point by the end of the episode. It's not to say that that's a bad thing by any means, but it's just, if you have so many episodes where it's like that, even in episodes where there's other things going on, like in the glitch modder or whatever, it still boils down to there's a big bad monster to beat up. So I feel like kind of maybe being a little more deviating from that a little bit more. You don't even need to have a glitch in an episode, to be honest with you. There's enough interesting things going on with the techs themselves and their boss and Mitch and Ridley and like other characters that honestly you could do an episode without a big bad glitch monster, right? Like, and I suppose technically the clip show is that. Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, by this episode, I just kind of feel like, oh, all right, well, they're gonna chase it around. They're gonna have trouble stopping it, and then in the end, they're gonna figure something out. And it's the same. It's like, oh, well, the robot has a heart after all. It does remember that. Like, it's okay. Like, I'm not trying to knock it hard, but it's not interesting enough for me to be like, oh man, I love this. Like, it's just kind of like, yeah, it's another solid episode.
Yep. Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
Like, I try hard because, as being someone who's almost 27, and who's watched a lot of television in his life, I don't want to knock something just because it's, you know, not, super amazing subversive television, right? Like, I still think this show has a lot to offer. I just want to make it clear when I feel like the show is really kind of doing better than it usually does, or like doing something that's really phenomenal television versus when it's
Right.
doing something that it hits what you expect from a Glitch Text episode in a good way, and that's it. There's nothing wrong
Yeah.
with that, but I'm not going to sit here and sing the praises of it. So yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to make that clear.
Yeah, and that is an important distinction to make because with most of these episodes that we've talked
Yeah.
about, they're not bad. They're fine. But we only really gush over the
Right.
standout ones because it's like, yeah, these are phenomenal. Like I really love what the show did. They're creative. They've got a lot of thought to them and they deserve that
Yeah,
attention.
and I would say
So,
except for the clip show, all of the episodes have really,
mhm.
really good fun animation. They've
Yep.
got fun, crazy lingo. Um, like there's a real style.
Oh, that
Yeah.
reminds me. You mentioned the lingo. There was one line that really got me where Miko goes, MORPG. And I was like, that's amazing. I clapped when I saw that. That was great.
I like in the in the Five Nights at Freddy episode when Mika was like, "Can we skip this cutscene?"
Yeah. Yep.
uh,
Yeah. I was glad to see that heart and charm was still there. So
and I,
yeah, it's a fun
yeah,
show.
and I feel like this is the kind of show. A lot of shows do this, right? Where it's like the first season establishes the formula, and then it goes on and just completely like blows the first season out of the water, right? I think there's like a real
Hmm.
strong base here. The characters are really great, except for maybe Mitch. But the bond that the characters share, the style of the show, the world that they've generated, where like basically anything that's in a video game can happen in this show's world. Does it make logical sense? No, but who cares, right? Like you can
Yeah.
sometimes they're able to just completely rewind time, and sometimes they're able to make it so the destruction just never happened. They're able to wipe anyone's memory except for Miko. Like they're able to do all these crazy things, but it's fun. It's kind of like the Powerpuff Girls, right? It's like, does it make logical sense why they can have 80 bajillion powers and they hardly ever use the same ones twice? No, but it makes for a more fun and dynamic show. Like,
Exactly.
um,
Yep.
so I feel like there is something really fun and interesting here that sets it out, especially even from other video game type shows. And I really, really do hope someone steps in to save this thing because it's good. And I mean Nickelodeon doesn't deserve it. Like
Yeah, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. This is better than
yeah.
them. It really is. Yeah, I think we've said it plenty of times already, but we do want to see this continue. We do want to see it grow because it's good. It's a great show. And if you haven't seen it and you're listening to us right now, go
Yeah.
watch it. It's so
Yeah.
good. It's really enjoyable. And I've seen a lot of people posting about it on Twitter, spreading the word, getting some buzz going. We got to keep that buzz going. Hopefully they Netflix sees it and it's like, "Hey, people want this. Let's fund
Yeah.
it."
How does like the first half of the second half of the season compare? Someone asked. I would say the first half is a little bit better personally. But that's just probably more just because the formula hasn't set in as much. I still think the Castlevania episode's the best episode. Um,
Absolutely.
the opening episode too, the two-parter, is also really interesting and a little bit different from the rest of the series. Like, and I feel like the animation in it also is a little bit better than the rest of the series too. Just because it's, I guess, because the first thing they worked on. I'm not sure, but I think the first half's a little bit better, but the second half does still have strong things, like Ridley, and the settling the score. So
Hmm.
yeah, all right. But yeah, there you go. If they ever got another part, I think we would definitely talk about it on the show.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
And here's hoping, because there's definitely room to grow here.
Hmm.
All right, so yeah. If anyone has anything else to say about Glitch Tech, say it now, and we'll respond, or otherwise we'll be calling it an episode pretty soon. Philip K says, I forget which episodes mentioned it, but I find it interesting how they reference Frosty Mart and Frosty Freezy Freezes from Fanboy and Chum Chum times in season 1B.
Yeah, that was in settling the score. I know was one of them because Yeah.
um,
Pilot might have been animated by Flying Bark, which was the Rise of the TMNT studio.
I,
If that's true, that's pretty cool.
yeah. The rest of the series looks great still, but I feel like they
Mhm.
really put a lot into that opening two-parter to kind of make it to just kind of as a proof of concept of the style, really. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm. Yeah, to really like grab people's attention,
right?
pull people
Yeah.
in. Makes
Yep.
sense.
And to show that, yeah, like a series where there's constantly like video game points popping up in the background and all sorts of other
Mhm.
stylistic touches that are just unique. You know, like it. Uh, what is the creators of Magnum Opus Fanboy and Tumtum or Glitch Text? Uh, Nick Tech, Nick Tech, Nintendo.
Nick Tech.
Nintendo is not here, so no one's gonna stand up for Fanboy and Chum Chum on this show. uh,
Nope.
mm-mm.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Nick.
But you know what? Hey, I mean, if Tuca and Birdie can get saved,
That's
Text
right.
can get saved too. Will it happen? Like, what are the odds? I don't know. I'd say it's a 50-50 split, to be honest. Like, I'm not going to be
Yeah.
cynical and be like, it's not going to happen because Netflix has saved a lot of shows. And certainly what happened with Glitch Text didn't happen because it was an unpopular idea. There was so many people clamoring to have this show come out, you know, like people were talking about this show like crazy before even the trailer came out, right? People were like, oh man, I can't wait for them to come out.
I remember when all we had was the name of the show.
Dude, I remember talking about this show a lot on the recast, like early on the recast, and the recast was like over 2 years ago, or no, about 2 years ago. So
Yeah.
yep. But yeah, it's
But
Shadow, how do you feel about this being on Netflix versus Nickelodeon? I know we talked about it a little bit in the first stream, but just like,
well, for starters, I actually watched it because it was on Netflix. I probably wouldn't have seen this if it was on Nickelodeon. So just in my own personal experience, it was a better
that's true.
thing. But I also think that, in the era of streaming and people latching on to these more niche shows and stuff where the internet can really conglomerate together and push for this stuff, I think it's beneficial. And especially because um, Nickelodeon has mistreated the show and, clearly neglected it to the eyes of all of us. We've seen what the creators and what the people who worked on it have come out and said, how it's been delayed and pushed and this and that. And for it to be this good, like that negative publicity kind of helped it get attention so people would look at it. And now that we see, hey, this is really good, people are going to continue talking about it because they like it. And I think that despite the negative initially being a bad thing, it could have the potential to be a good thing in the long run, assuming that this continues.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's a 50-50 chance as well, but I'm hoping that it's the positive 50%. So
Maybe HBO Max will step in and take it. Could you imagine? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the only thing I would say about it being on Netflix is just that it's maybe not going to reach as big an audience. And not, Netflix has tons and tons of subscribers, of course, but like it's different when something's airing on network television with like new episode premieres over weeks and weeks, and it can build hype and stuff. Whereas Netflix just kind of dropped season 1 and then now season 2 not too long after. The shows could just easily get forgotten about or lost in the mix with Netflix's other 80 bajillion projects they have going on. But yeah, I don't know. Unfortunately for these shows that get seasons or that get ported to streaming services, it's up in the air as to how the streaming services feel about them, because we'll be talking about similar stuff next week when we talk about Infinity Train. Very similar stuff about the questionable future of the show, and
very similar. Almost identical.
Yeah, I do feel like if this was planned for Netflix from the start, I that's kind of the one bummer, right? Is that this was clearly not planned to be on or to be made for streaming service specifically, because honestly, I don't think the clip show would have happened, or at least it wouldn't have happened in the way it did. I couldn't imagine. I would imagine if Netflix was like, oh, so you don't have the budget and you want to just do 19 episodes instead of 20, Netflix would have been just been like, all right, whatever. Like I wonder that's an interesting thing. I wonder if any Netflix originals have had clip shows.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I also feel like probably they would have maybe been a little bit more astute on having some more overarching elements, or elements that are developed on, I don't know, because when you develop for a streaming service, typically you do kind of go a little bit more overarching storyline. Not that you have to, but just we saw it. What show do we watch? Oh, Kipo. She-Ra, like a lot of these shows, and that's why I thought like Infinity Train was a really good fit for streaming, is because it kind of had that structure already.
Yeah.
So, what if the show moves to a CBS All Access? I mean, I think that would be a downgrade. Oh God, don't mention Quibi. No, Glitch Tricks on Quibi. Yeah. Oh God.
No,
Could
don't
you
do that.
imagine?
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Netflix is a better home for it than CBS All
If they
Access,
wanted to
though.
put it on CBS All Access too, like they did with Avatar and Korra, how it's on both, then great. Hey, any wider audience for this is great. Yeah, and I think I kind of wonder why they split it into 2 seasons if they were only going to split it up by a few months, right? Like, why couldn't they have just either dropped it all at once, or done one half and then 6 or 7 or 8 months later given us the second half, instead of, what was it, like 3? Like,
I don't remember when the first season dropped, but someone in the chat will probably have an answer before I can wiki it. So.
What if it was on Oaxis?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I mean, it might have been the idea was to kind of just prolong its lifespan, which like they did the same thing with Kipo, where the first season was in January and then the second season was June, so it was kind of this 6-month time period that people could be anticipating. The show just kind of prolongs it, so it's not a watch all 10 episodes, binge and done, and then never talk about it again. It might have been their way of thinking. I don't know how efficient that is in terms of their show's success and popularity.
I mean, it makes sense why they wouldn't want to just pop this down one time, because it, I think the show could be saved, but it would need to be saved basically because a lot of the people have found other jobs and like moved on. It's not to say that you can't get those people back, or some of them back and some new people. You can, but it's not going to be as simple as just saying, oh well, the show got picked up for season 2, let's keep going with it. It's happened. It's certainly happened plenty of times, but all right. And we'll as I mentioned, next week is going to be Infinity Train season 3. This time we know about it. I am so excited. Right now, the first, I believe it's 8 episodes are out. I've seen them all. They're real. It's good stuff. It's great stuff. Season 2 of Infinity Train's also pretty great. And we'll be talking about then. That show actually has an interesting release schedule, in that they've released, I think it was like the first 5 and then the next 3, and then they're going to do the last 2. But what's interesting about that, and we'll talk about it next week, is that the way it was released, it might seem arbitrary, the amount of episodes, but it was done in such a way based on the way the story is. There's a reason why the first 5 episodes were dropped at once and it ended right there, because of a very interesting thing that happens. So, So, all right. Join us next week. Is there anything else, Shadow?
The only thing that people mentioned was that the first season came out in February, so it was a 6-month span, just like Kipo.
Then I made a mistake, because that's not bad. 6 months is a decent amount of waiting time. I guess just because we saw it a few weeks ago, I kind of assumed. Yeah, even though that's not true at all. Okay. So next week, join us for Infinity Train. We will be talking about Phineas and Ferb. Don't worry. But so you can get started watching Infinity Train now, and then the last 2 episodes are going to drop on Thursday. So, all right. Hey, I released an HBO Max review. If anyone wants to check that out.
Yeah, I watched it. It's a
Thank
good
you,
video,
friend.
So yeah, watch it. You're welcome.
Yep. All right, and with that, I think we're good.
Alrighty. So we will see you guys next week with Infinity Train. Sounds like a good idea.
Thanks for coming, guys. Bye, guy rules.